Another good one, unlawful sign posting by a governmental entity or unlawful exclusion of a CHL holder by a governmental entity. The effective date, and this is very important for elected officials in here. This one is very important. September 1st, 2015 is the effective date. SB 273 was filed by Senator Donna Campbell. She is a state preemption guru up there in Austin. So what is unlawful exclusion of a CHL holder by a governmental entity? This is the law. This is what it says. Wrongful exclusion of a concealed handgun license holder, a state agency, or political subdivision of the state may not provide notice by a communication described by section 30.06. If you're a CHL holder, you know what 30.06. If you're not, talk to me after. The penal code, or by any sign expressly referring to that law or to a concealed handgun license, that a license holder carrying a handgun under the authority of this chapter is prohibited from entering or remaining on a premise or other place owned or leased by the governmental entity unless the license holders are prohibited from carrying a handgun on the premises or other place as defined by 4603 and 46035. So what 4603 and 46035, it's a list of places that CHL holders cannot go. And there can be no other places added to that list. I'm going to give you an example. I've ran into it twice now traveling over the state because I go to local police departments and deliver this as well. And so far at 2 of those local police departments, when I walk up to the door, guess what I see? A 30-06 sign. By the time that I leave, they're going, oh, crap. Because the sign is illegal. Because police stations are not off limits to CHL holders. Okay? There is a civil penalty for violating this code. It was already actually against the law. In Local Government Code 229001, it specifically said that they couldn't regulate CHL holders, but cities and counties are doing it anyway. The penalty we see here is a state agency or political subdivision of the state that violates this law is liable for a civil penalty of not less than $1,000 and not more than $1,500 for the first violation, and not less than $10,000 and not more than $10,500 for the second and subsequent violation. C is very important, because each day of a continuing violation of a subsection A constitutes a separate violation. So here is how this is going to go. We're going to have people all over the state that are going to be taking pictures of unlawfully posted 30-06 signs, and they're going to be sending them to us. We will contact that governmental entity, and we will notify them that they are in violation of the law. They have 3 days to take it down. If after 3 days they don't take it down, we report it to the Attorney General, and they will notify you that fines are going to start racking up. The first day is $1,000. The second day is $10,000. The third day is $10,000. The fourth day is $10,000. And we are going to be aggressively pursuing these. And the reason is because we want our government officials to follow the same laws that we follow, that we're expected to follow. CHL holders are held to a very high standard, very high. And we're expected to follow the law. We're expected not to go where we're not supposed to. The same thing with local governments. They should be following the law, and that should go without saying to this crowd. A wrongful exclusion, and this is for the law enforcement in here and for CHL holders. A wrongful exclusion of a CHL holder is not enforceable. If a government entity posts a no firearm sign in violation of this law, it is not enforceable, and CHL holders can walk right by that sign. So where's an example that we might see a problem? City Hall. City Hall. I'm telling you, we're going to have city halls all over the place that we're going to have 30-06 signs posted. Why was this necessary? Well, I'm going to use San Antonio again. Y'all can blame San Antonio for all this. Because San Antonio was putting 30-06 signs up on all public property, including parking garages. And here's the thing, your average CHL holder don't spend the hours and hours and months into the laws and the requirements like we do. And so when a CHL holder sees a sign, they want to be lawful. They want to be a law-abiding citizen. And so they're walking away and they're not parking there, or they're going to put their weapon up, and they're being coerced into doing that wrongfully. And so it's become necessary for the state to say, okay guys, we took this under state preemption. Y'all have abused the authority that you have, and now we're going to have to start penalizing. That's what this was about. There's already been an opinion requested by the AG, and it's about courthouses. So before the question comes up about courthouses, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer. The law doesn't say courthouses. The law actually says premises of a courtroom. So it's our position, as Texas Law Shield's position, that if the legislature had wanted to make courthouses prohibited, they would have said courthouses, but they didn't. Annex buildings are another one that's going to be an issue in some places that we've seen so far. Things like this. Now, let me make sure everybody understands, anything that I talk about tonight is not referring to federal property. Stay off of federal property with your guns. Bad things will happen. So, VA, post office, things of that nature. None of this applies to that. All right, questions on unlawful exclusion of a CHL holder by a governmental entity? Yes, sir.
This does not apply to the 30.7, 36.7.
Sure it does.
It does?
Sure it does. He asked about a 30.7 sign, and we'll talk about that when we get to that part of it. There's going to be a new sign.
Okay, two questions. First off, what about for like nonprofit businesses like the Workforce Solutions, how they're run by nonprofit organizations on behalf of the government? Will they have to remove their signs as well?
Is it private property?
It's owned by and operated by the Workforce Solutions. It's operated like the Interfaith of the Woodlands, and then they contract out with the state. It's kind of confusing.
It's private.
It's private property.
All right.
This has nothing to do with private property. Let me give you another example. How many people have been to the Houston Zoo? There you go, 30.06 sign there that says no go. That sign is coming down. It's coming down.
Also, my second question also, say a government agency does not have that 30.6, but for all the employees, they say in the handbook, do not bring a weapon.
This has nothing to do, yeah, he's asking about employees. This has nothing to do with employer-employee relations. The law allots for employers, employees to make their own policies, and this does not impact that. Yes, ma'am.
What about a public school?
Whoa, okay. In 46035 and 4603, there's prohibited places, period.
That is.
And going on the premises, which is inside a building of a school, is prohibited. That still stays the
What
same.
about a parking lot of a school?
You can conceal carry, and we'll find out in a minute. Open carry on school property, which is a parking lot, a driveway, something like a sidewalk, something like that.
That's something that's new now?
No, that's already been there.
Okay, because they had told me before I could not have my pistol in my truck.
Are you a teacher?
I was.
Okay,
yes.
if you're a teacher, you cannot. That's an employee-employer relation.
Oh, okay. But now that I'm retired,
If you're not a teacher and you're picking up your grandkids, yes, by all means, carry away.
Are there any municipal-run hospitals?
Hospitals are still off limits. Now, hospitals are actually very confusing to get through because of the way we see it in 46035, but not just that, there's another law out there that nobody ever sees, that nobody ever knows about, that actually mandates hospitals to put the sign. For those of us that know the law, hospitals are only off limits if a 30.06 sign is posted. But the law mandates them to post it in 241 health code or something like that. So it's convoluted. Hospitals are still off limits as long as the 30-6 sign is posted.
Okay.
In our church, we passed a ruling that church members that have a C4, they may carry their concealed weapon in the church. And, but if you have an open carry, we do not permit it in the church.
Put up a 30-7 sign. Just make life easy on yourself. We'll talk about
We
open.
don't have a sign up there.
Okay, let's hold off on the open carry questions until I get to open carry. Any more questions on unlawful exclusion of a CHL holder by a governmental entity?
When you said this has nothing to do with employee-employer, are you talking about all the topics you're covering tonight, or just this exclusion?
It should be all of them. I don't see anything that's going to conflict. The state has always acknowledged employer-employee. The employer's right to make their own policy. The state did push back a little bit and say you have to let them carry in a parking lot, as long as you're not in one of those super secured areas, like a chemical plant or something like that.